Oh, so as far as the European perspective then, Tom, how has the EU responded diplomatically to the conflict so far? Because there appeared to be some form of sitting on the fence earlier in the piece. How are they responding so far, and could it play a role in future negotiations? We know a new round of sanctions on Iranian officials have been approved by the EU ambassadors just recently.
So I think Europe is years, if not decades, behind what they need to be doing. Even contained in your question, the idea of a new round of sanctions, I think we are beyond that at this point. No one in the Middle East, no one I know in Iran, no one in the Sunni Arab world, no one in Israel, and people in much of the rest of the world want this regime to survive. And with all due respect to the EU, sanctions aren't enough. So to answer your broader first question, the EU is not participating very much. You know, Britain, for example, supposedly a close ally, is only now moving a warship into the region in the second week of the war. France has sent a couple of ships, but in a kind of performative way. And as was the case with Ukraine, when Russia invaded Ukraine, Europe has been taken by surprise. It's scrambling to get an answer in what to do with Iran. And I think again there's a kind of denial, or a kind of willful denial among many Europeans, thinking this isn't a conflict that affects them. It doesn't just affect them economically. Islamic radical expansionism, which really dates back in the modern era to the 1979 takeover of Iran, and then the counter-reaction in the Sunni world to say that we need to be radical too if the Shia Iranians are being radical. That Islamic radicalism has in some ways undermined countries, especially in Western Europe, in all kinds of ways. And were the regime to change in Iran, I think that's the beginning of the pushback worldwide against extremist Islamism, which will also liberate the vast majority of Muslims throughout the world from the extremists from which they themselves are the main victims. So I think Europe really, I don't want to sound too overwhelming, but so many commentators, they don't have a clue as to what this war means, how important it is, and what their reaction should be. And, you know, as usual, EU diplomats are pushing papers around and holding emergency calls, but not doing anything concretely.
Okay, Tom, thank you so much for joining us on the program today. Thank you for your analysis.